Hello and welcome to Channel Sports on Sunday. I'm Cecilia Omogwe right here in Lagos studio. And of course, Ken Ochonogo will be joining us from London on the show. But before he joins us, this is what the show looks like at this afternoon. We'll be talking about the Super Falcons. They sent forth held yesterday at Transcom Hilton in Abuja. Sent forth for the Falcons. They will be having a 15-day training camp in Brisbane in Australia before they begin their campaign on the 21st of July against Olympic champion Canada. We'll be talking about that, sent for the people in attendance and those, of course, that were absent from that sent forth. Also, we'll touch down on what England are doing. They played a friendly against Portugal yesterday, ended goalless. That's not what they wanted. Portugal qualifying for the first time for the FIFA Women's World Cup. And of course, it's 17 days to go to the tournament. So Super Falcons may likely lead the shores of the country tonight. We'll also be talking about the Brazilian national team. Of course, your president met them on Saturday night before the game against Chile, taking place 2:30. That will be sent forth for them. England had their own sent forth also against Portugal. Now, friendlies, that's what they're playing, not dinner. And also, we'll touch down on basketball. What is happening? Okay, what is happening with the women's national team? Talking about the Tigress. But then let's quickly take a listen to what the former sports minister said, after the whole saga concerning the ban and why he had to enforce that.
About accomplishments and achievements faced among yourselves. Who can best Nigerians, not individuals from different parts of the country. Once you play as a team.
No, the essence of that ban was beyond bringing back the youth basketball. That was part of it. Yes, there were unintended consequences. But also, don't forget, certain things that occurred while the qualification process was going on. Twice, we had every reason not to sponsor the team for qualifiers. Because in the midst of those crises, you see, this is it. There's a place for patriotism. There's a place for institution. We have been told we will not play the game. Players signed that they will not show up. If they show up, they will protest against Nigeria. Under the table, we were engaging them. But some other people were fueling them. All the stakeholders were told, if the interest of the game and the interest of the players are your own interests, then you will abide by what we have said you should do. Ultimately, when we reviewed the entire thing, we saw that the interest of the game and the interest of the players was not paramount. There were unintended consequences. There are regrets. In sports, apart from the use of substance, the other thing that can destroy any sport is indiscipline. When the players are indisciplined in the team, they send him out immediately. What I'm saying is the athletes of our country are great. I respect them. Their welfare is important. But you cannot disrespect and trash your country simply because you have a grounds. There are institutional processes. What some of them try, they can't try with the American basketball team. The Ugandan team came to Kigali. They said because they are owing them some money, they won't pay. While they said it, within an hour, the government disbanded all of them. Is there any noise? No noise. So there are lessons learned, but for me, there were unintended consequences. And I'm glad that we're back now on the run of the mill.
Okay, yes, we had to take that quickly, coming from the former sports minister, Sunday Diary. But before we talk about basketball, because Queen Mosef, a member of the media committee of Nigerian Basketball Federation, will be joining us on the program. So before she joins us, that's when we'll talk about this. But then let's quickly welcome Ken into the program. Of course, talk about the FIFA Women's World Cup. Ken, it's great to have you join us again.
Sissy. Sometimes we're listening to our administrators or former administrators, and then I don't know if we learn from this. The girls qualified for the World Cup. I mean, unintended consequences, indiscipline. Indiscipline is like you don't beat, you are beating a child, and you say that child should not cry. We saw it happen, how it almost destroyed our football in 2002. Sunday Ogochukwu Olise, Fini the Judge, Agal, a lot of these players, understand? They qualified us for the 2002 World Cup. after qualifying us, and because they were asking for their rights. In our last qualifier, when we qualified for the World Cup in Port Harcourt, the governors came together and contributed 70 million to give to these players. That money was kept in trust with the FA. When the players now came in for their last friendlies before they went for the AFCON, they asked for their money, but that money was nowhere to be found. And the player said, until you give us, it is not your money, it is our money they give to. We're not even asking for the bonus, we're not going about the refund for tickets. Give us these monies so that we can do that. At the end of the day, the players were termed indiscipline. Indiscipline, we destroyed our football, and it took us so many years from 2002 to about 2013 before we even found our feet, because we destroyed a crop of players that would have celebrated and sent them forth to be happy. You have served this nation for 10, 15 years. We disgrace them, we send them out, and then here we are again. I mean, unintended consequences. No, sir. I think that is not the issue here. But then, are you talking about another World Cup is coming in for our football, our female teams, and that's where they want to go? We've been seeing the same fault. You talked about England playing Portugal, and that match ended 0-0. England had been finding it difficult to score. I don't know. They were the high scoring side, but after that match, they asked the manager, and she's saying, well, we still have one more game to go and see if we can get that in tune and know how we can score. We saw the Super Falcons there. You show up the visuals are there where they are, they're having their Sandford party. But another story that the most people are not following is what is happening in South Africa right now. The South African, the Banyana are part of the team that are representing Africa. They are supposed to have a Sandford game today against Botswana, today 2nd of July, and that game may not take place because on Thursday they met with the South African Players Union. I said, look, FIFA is paying us $30,000 at least minimum for participating, but the federation is getting 1.56 million now. Out of that 1.56 million, how much are you giving to us? You've not discussed our bonuses. You're not talking about what FIFA is giving to us. So they have 3 grouses. That is one of them. The second one is that the pitch that they are supposed to play, that ground is not fit to play. The players might crop up injuries. And then some of them might not even go to the World Cup if you play Botswana on that pitch today. So they are saying, relocate us, or we are not going to play this. The third one also is that saying, look, they are giving them 4 jerseys, each of the players. And it's that if we have to exchange jerseys and whatever, it won't be enough. Can you increase that? So those are the major things that I say, look, but South Africa may not play their friendlies today. I'll continue that way. Let us talk about it. It is not a competitive match, but these things happens in Africa. They happen in Ghana, they happen in Cameroon, they happen, the sub-Saharan Africa, South Africa. I don't know what is happening, but I hope they sort that out before they embark on that journey to represent the continent and do us proud.
Okay, Ken is not just the one joining me on the program on this show from London as usual, but we also have a guest in Lagos studio. Okpeyemi Ajala is right here in the studio, and of course, Theophilus Agbola also here. You guys were absent yesterday. I understand what happened last time because of Lagos happens as usual, and so great to have you guys today.
Yeah, it's nice being back after last week absence due to in Lagos where you cannot have a Formula 1 event last week. So, but again, it's good that it's okay now, pending, I think, on the 9th when everything will come back.
Forget it.
But obviously, these are Lagos.
Yeah, this is Lagos, and we understand what's going on. Okay, let's start off. Ken already said the ball rolling concerning what we're going to be discussing today. We'll also talk about NBA trades and, of course, talk about Wimbledon starting on Monday. These are some of the issues we'll be talking about. Touch down on some transfer, what's going on in football transfer markets. NBA trades, of course. D'Angelo Russell going back to Lakers. There's so many stories concerning that. We also have some coming from Nigerian players. But first, the Super Falcons of Nigeria last night at Transcorp Hilton, there was a dinner held in their honor as they traveled to Australia for the FIFA Women's World Cup. 32 teams for the first time. You're having 64 games. And, of course, Super Falcons, as usual, part of those teams that will be in Down Under later this month. July 20, yes, that's when the FIFA Women's World Cup is starting. And the Super Falcons will start their campaign 21st against Olympic champion Canada. And they sent for, let's take a look at the pictures coming from there. The head coach, Randy Wardrum was in attendance. Believe before now, in the stories coming out, he wanted a 2-week training camp for the home-based players. And most people said, you don't even have the trust in home-based players. So why do you want to have a two-week training camp in Abuja? That didn't happen. The players from the US, they were not in attendance simply because, of course, the teams will be moving to Australia. So they're going to be joining the team in Brisbane in Australia for that 15-day camp. But we had the captain of the team, Onomebe. She was there. Of course, Asisat Oshola, Zayokbara, Noziem, Rashidat Ajibade, Tosin Dimehi, and some other star players were in attendance in that particular sent for. The First Lady of the country, Oluremi Tinubu, was supposed to be there, but she had to send a representative, the APC women leader, to represent her at this particular dinner. People from the Ministry of Sport were also in attendance. Of course, NFF hosting it, both the President, Ibrahim Guzo, and of course, Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shoaibu, they were all in attendance for the sent forth dinner. What do you guys make of this? Super Falcons, I mean, one of the sponsors of the brand was also there. We wanted a bigger fanfare. Let it come to Lagos and everyone in attendance. But this is what we got from the Nigerian Football Federation.
Yeah, I think anytime your country, you have the point of your country giving you this honor is something you don't take for granted. And if I could recall, the late Simbiat Abiola was not even in government when she took the bull by the horn. And in fact, we can call her the mother of the Falcons before they became Super Falcons, because she ensured when they went for the first set of Falcons, it was Simbiat Abiola the way, and she stood by that team. She stood with the team, and she ensured they were getting what the team needed from the then pillar of sport, Moshood Abiola. So now that it's no longer a private person, it's now the government. Yes, it would have been better to have a bigger fanfare, but I'm taking cognizance of the drama between the NFF and the team coach, Wardrum. I think it's still okay that these are oases of peace in the conglomerate of distractions. So I think this is a welcome development. It could have been bigger, but at least it's a plus. Yeah,
this is big. Yeah, it's a plus. No, having that dinner, because we're expecting, and we'll be anticipating this, and then we saw what happened in Abuja last night.
Yeah, it's really, really amazing, and I always make reference to the fact that we are going to the World Cup. Our women are going to the World Cup. Our men did not do all this on the last time out. So, of course, they should be celebrated. And I'm glad that yes, they are being celebrated right now. But then again, like you said, we would have hoped for something bigger. But also looking at everything that's currently happening in the camp of the Falcons, we just want a situation whereby they go all the way down there and then they give a good account of themselves. We know what they are capable of doing. We have some of the best footballers in the world. At least I know for a fact that Star Ushuala is easily one of the 50 most rated players in the world right now in female football, and she's easily one of the best footballers around. Multiple African Footballer of the Year winner, like Rashid Ajibade and maybe like you talked about rightfully. So we're just hoping for all the best. I wish there wasn't as much drama as we're seeing right now. But then again, like Okolo put it, when you are being honored like this, you don't take it for granted.
Yeah, you won't take it for granted. We're wishing the Super Falcons all the best as they head to Australia for the FIFA Women's World Cup, the biggest ever. Okay, why the Falcons, why they had that, having that dinner? I don't know if Ken will have something to chip in before I talk about the Brazilian team, because the Brazilian team their own president came to where they were training to meet, hugging all the girls of playing, just telling them to go ahead and win their first ever Women's World Cup. It's surprising to say the Brazilian women has never won the FIFA Women's World Cup, but the men, of course, 5-time champion, but the women are still behind. You can't compare that to the US, who they won 4 times, and of course the men are yet to win. It's always like that.
Sisi, let me tell you something. I know $30,000 is a lot of money. A lot of money for the girls. But that is just say I will say it in the local balance. Make it just show your face. By qualifying, go to New Zealand, Australia, you collect 30,000. But when you move from that round to the next round, when you just move round, they multiply by 2, it becomes 60,000. Yeah. From that, it entered 90,000. You understand? So by getting to the quarterfinal stages, the players are collecting 90,000 165,000, 195,000, and if you win, the club that we win, each player we collect $270,000, $270,000 for one person for just winning. I mean, that is a bonus coming from FIFA for the players. So the federation now, if the Super Falcons win, each player collects 270,000, and the federation collects $10.5 million. $10.5 million will come to the federation while the players collect that. So the Brazilians know what this thing means to them. Of course, they've been trying, but they are not there where the Germans are. The Japanese surprised the world. The Japanese came up and said, look, we're a power. So they used to be the Danes, the Germans, Denmark, Germany, Sweden. Those are the super, used to be the superpowers and the USA. But the Japanese have come in and said they've won it. So Brazilians, they've not won this. Brazil is football and football is Brazil. So when England said football comes home, no, football goes to Brazil. So this is what they want. 10.5 million for the BFA, the Brazilian Football Association. And yes, $270,000 each if they can make it. That is the ultimate diadem. So they are going to dance their samba. They enjoy themselves. The way they express themselves in the Rio Carnival is the way they express themselves on the beach. Every part of what Brazil is. I hope, yes. I don't want to be singing praise of Brazilians. I will talk about the Nigerian team. The Asa to Shualas and all of them. But that is it. This is what they are.
The king of sport in Brazil. That's why the president had to go to where they were training before the game against Chile today, 2:30 p.m. As Ken mentioned, there's so much money at stake because when you win, each player will get $270,000. Now, that's a lot. Now, you understand why the president of the country had to come down to meet the girls. Both Nigeria, the Super Falcons, didn't have the opportunity to, shake hands with the president before going because he was on duty in Lagos, official duty, of course. Maybe the timing just didn't work out. Maybe they could have had something like this. We were expecting more branding, but this is what you're getting. Now, let's quickly touch down on England because after that goalless game, before the game against Portugal, she believes she would have wanted more for the girls, talking about having more friendlies, but it didn't happen. Of course, Lioness, we know that their unbeaten run actually ended with defeating Australia in their previous match. They struggled all through the game against Portugal, 23 attempts. And of course, the stadium was 26,000 people came to watch the game. By the end of the day, despite having that 23 goal attempt, they could not score a goal. Yeah, they will be leaving England on Wednesday, go to Australia. Then they play behind closed door game against Canada on the 14th before their opening game. Which is going to be on the 21st of this month. You listened to Serena Wigman. He wanted more. She wanted more. But Super Falcons had series of friendlies, but they didn't have, they're not having, we don't know what's going to happen in Australia. But that's close campaign they will be having in 15 days will give them opportunity to understand this. But we've seen teams using friendlies as more like sent forth for them. Brazil will have theirs today against Chile. England have had theirs against Portugal. USA, of course, played. They also having 2 games. They played one, I think, on Friday, then another one later today. Yeah. So these are what's happening in the Women's World Cup. Every team building up to it. With this, will there be a difference between those who had to play, 2 friendlies before going into camp, or will it just be? It won't make much difference for between those.
It's all about the premium you place on these teams.
Okay.
For the English team, we are talking about European champions here.
Yes.
When you have a friendly with 26,000 spectators, you know what that means. Take away the population of England. Anywhere there's a game and you have close to 20,000 spectators, that means the premium on that team is not something you joke with. And I think that is where the difference comes with. Now, because we've not had the opportunity to engage in very serious friendlies, that is why Wardrobe was saying something about getting the home base. But at times, it just... I don't get to understand because when you give someone a job, allow the person to do the job. You don't have to. And I think someone like Carlos Kruger, that was why he left South Africa in the before the 98 World Cup. Said, look, if I'm in charge of this team, I should have the responsibility for picking my teams. Now, the coach asks for somebody, for certain set of players. It's you that you are in the admin, in the office, you are saying who they should get. He called that was how Stephen Keshi, Okpala and Co were taking it from Keshi. Now you are taking away the man's wardrobe assistant. I think that is not fair enough. If you feel you can do the job of the national team manager, just apply for the job. But once you've entrusted a man with that job, let him do it. Whatever Chief Onigude will tell you that in '83 he asked for 4 balls, they will give him 1. But when the foreign expatriate coaches come, when they ask for 4, they give them a dozen. But now we are having the expatriate coaches, we are not trusting them to complete the process. So I don't think that is good enough. It's not about the friendly, but I suspect because he has not had enough friendly, he wanted to use the close camping to see the best of the players who can always give him the real match situation. So why the home base will not be there, I wouldn't know.
Okay. But we need to go on a break. When we come back, maybe Agbola is going to chip in on this. Of course, we get to listen to Megan Rapinoe, what this World Cup really mean for women's sports in general, not just football. Yeah, welcome back. All right. I was going to ask you if you're going to chip in on this one. He was talking about when you're given a job, you have the opportunity to, give you the chance to do whatever you want to do. You think maybe there's an interference here, or maybe the coach is not really proactive enough? Because if you're looking at the FIFA World Cup, it's coming up. If you want to have a kind of a calendar, you give them early. Maybe the time he gave it to the Nigerian Football Federation was kind of short, and then they won't have so much time for it.
You look at
that's why they didn't allow that to happen.
What the English manager was saying, the English coach said, they had a schedule, and unfortunately, it is what it is. Remember, at the end of the day, the premium should be placed on the players. They are the protagonists at the end of the day of all these things. But when you give somebody a job, you are literally entrusting the person to take you from a certain level to a higher level. And when the person begins to do the job and then he's always bickering, always complaining, and has wants and needs that you are not able to fulfill, and then you come out and you begin to bash the person instead. You begin to talk more about your setup as an organization and how you run your thing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, when the coach doesn't do well, he gets blamed for it. But somehow, behind the scenes or at the back of the whole thing, you know that there have been certain interferences here and there, and it's not unheard of. Throw it open and you discover how people come and start telling you about how multiple times over the course of an hours of our sport, especially football, everything literally, it's always one interference, one complaint or the other. And I think this has to stop if we really want to actually be taken seriously like the rest of the world.
All right, taking seriously, that's important. And as I mentioned earlier now, this FIFA Women's World Cup, it's getting the vibes, it's getting the hypes, everything you can ever think of. More than 1 million tickets have been sold compared to, what happened. What is it? 1 billion? How many tickets? I think I've lost count right now because FIFA keep giving us the updates of the tickets that have been. So that's how big it is this time around, more than we had in 2019. So Megan Rapinoe, US forward, will be 37 this month, because she's been talking about what this really mean for women's sports in general, not just football. The impact this World Cup will have after the tournament. Yeah, of course, paradigm shift. That's what she's talking about. We hope this can actually also translate to basketball, especially basketball in Nigeria. Queen Mosef, a sport journalist, of course. She's also the media officer of Rivers Hoopers. She will be joining us on the program. Yeah, we'll be shifting to basketball. But before that, I'm going to ask her a few questions on the Women's World Cup. What she's expecting at this particular World Cup, especially for the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Queen, good afternoon. It's good to have you join us on the program.
Good afternoon, Cecilia. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
sorry, you'll be hearing a little talk here and there from my daughter. So
I know she's there. That's why you can't even be on the video. I understand that. Well, thank you for taking out that time to join us this afternoon. Yeah, Queen, we talked about Super Falcons, Sandford, and some other teams. Generally, what's your view on the Women's World Cup starting July 20th?
Good one. We are having an expansion, which is good. It's a first. And also, hold on here. Also knowing quite well that in terms of ticketing, it's the highest we've ever had. So it's like they're hosting one of the biggest ever tournaments. And this time around is with having 32 teams and looking at the financial aspect of it. Players earning a whole lot, not directly to the federation. Now the federation will have theirs as well. The players also have. So I think it's huge. It's huge, and it's going to be historical for players as well as the teams. But for the Super Falcons, a lot going behind the scene. I think this is not the best of time to have that heading to the World Cup, from the coaching angle to the NFF and then players as well. One player not making the team and coming out to debunk whatever she said or not. So, but I think a whole lot going on. I just hope the drama off the field don't kind of overshadow whatever they will do on the field of play. But good enough, they had a send forth for them. They were celebrated going all the way. But my issue, I don't understand that track, really. I was expecting something green. But anyway, maybe they had their own concept to the uniforms they used for them during the send forth. But going to the World Cup, I'm expecting them to do well. But if I want to judge by the drama and all the happenings around of the field, as well as from the coach as well, this doesn't help any team to do well. So, but I'll still be optimistic that the girls will go ahead and be able to do something, especially against Canada. That's one team I feel they can get something out of. Australia, I know it's going to be a tough one because you're playing against the host, but I will just keep my fingers crossed and wish the girls the very best.
That's the very best. We're wishing them. All right, now let's talk basketball. We have a new coach for the D Tigress, after what happened the last time. But when you're having a coach, she's the assistant coach of Stony Brook University. That's what I understand. I'm talking about Reina Wakama. Now, we are having it with the Super Falcons coach, who happens to be the head coach of a team in the U.S. women's soccer in the university. Now, basketball is also going ahead with that, having a coach who is an assistant coach in Stony University basketball team. Now, what do you make of this? Is this a step down from what we have with the former coach, Otis Ayugli?
I won't say it's a step down because I think when Otis was also appointed, we barely had an idea of who he was.
Okay.
And at that time, we were taking over from Sam Vincent, who had a very, very good track record.
Yeah.
For Nigeria as well, and also in the NBA and in Europe as well. So he had a very good track record. But for Otis, when he came on, we just saw him as one college coach. Who is this? And he came on to take over the job like almost less than 40 days to the World Cup at that point in time. But I think he was a coach that had pedigree. He knew his basketball. He knows the game. So it was not difficult for him to put the girls together. He knew what he wanted. And Coates at that point in time is a coach who goes for defense. To him, he said defense wins games for you and wins championship. And we saw what he did, winning back-to-back Afro-Basket championship and going to the quarterfinals of the FIBA World Cup. So his philosophy worked for him, in as much as a lot of people didn't give him a chance, being that he was a college coach at that point in time. They also knew that, please hold on, this girl is doing something by accident. What are you doing? Sorry, Cecilia.
Okay. Do we give you a little time? We'll get back to you a little bit after this, okay? Okay, let me go to Ken in London. Ken, I mean, we have a new coach, Wakama, who happens to be the coach of D Tigress, of course. We've been talking about the success the team have had. I mean, having a three-peat, it's hard for you to defend the title back to back. But then the girls have been able to do it. But July, later this month, they will be, the Afro Basket is starting up. And of course, MBBF, I decided to trot. They're having a tryout. Everybody come to camp. Let's pick girls. Even the open camp in the US and also open right here in Nigeria for players to come in. And now you have a new coach. I mean, how would this work for these women?
College sports in America is one area where you have competence. It's one area that's fully developed. It's one area where it's professionalized. So most college coaches earn more than those who are even in a coaching professional teams. I'm trying to remember the coach that led the U.S. to the last when they won the gold medal, and also the World Cup. After them, he went back to coach a college team, and his earning, he was one of the highest earners that you can have. So if we have people who are competent here, we know that they can do it. So there was a time that most of us advocated that coaches like Fani Amu and others who were good at the youth stage should be left at that level to say, look, this is where you are. Don't because they are coaching the youth that the person who is coaching the senior team is bigger than you. No, that pay them, commensurate salaries that's equivalent, but let them do the job because this is what they are good at, because it is very, very important. It is like, I always give this thing, or maybe because of my background, of an edifice. You see a very beautiful building, a structure, and you say this is beautiful. But let me tell you, if the foundation is not structured, it cannot carry it. They say you like build on a quicksand, it will collapse. So when the college basketballers, the coaches, and the college athlete coaches and rest of them, this is where they mold. This is where you're talking about the character. This is where they bring them out. The character, the privilege, whatever what they are going to become, the development, citing them and pushing them on and preparing them. It is as much important as when they are doing the final job. So if we have a competent college coach, but not at the time. We don't have the time because the national team coaches, national teams are also not, they are not there. They also go back to their respective clubs to go and play. So basically, that is what it is. Let us hope, let us just pray that she is competent. Looking at her pedigree, I've not done that myself, so I won't speak on what she has done or where she's coming from. But if they said she's okay and she can do it, let's see how that pans out. But I just want to use just give me 1 minute because. Before we go back to Queen, the NBA free season, we're talking about transfer season for footballers, and somebody like Kai Havertz will be earning about 17 million playing for Arsenal. He's good at Arsenal, he's dreaming big now, and looking at this is where it is. But in the NBA, 2 Nigerians were involved. Chimezime went from Sacramento to Phoenix, and he's going to earning $2.5 million a year. John Okoje is in Phoenix. He just had a 1 year contract, also 2.3 million. But the big boys, Draymond Green from Golden State Warriors, 25 million, 4 years, that is 100. He's earning 25 million a year. Chris Middleton, 34 million. Kyle Kuzma, 24 million. Cameron Jackson for Brooklyn Nets is going for 27 million. Kyrie Irving from the Dallas Maverick, 42 million. Fred VanVleet moved from Toronto to Houston Rockets for 42.9 million a year. And you can't beat this, whatever it is. So he's there for 3 years, and that is 113 million that contract is signed. And we have Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant is a Portland Trailblazers. The man is earning 32 million a year, and for 5 years, that is guaranteed $160 million. Money talks. You see, you are the money talks. Money talks.
It talks. Yeah, I wish we can just quickly see a slide of what Ken talked about. That's the NBA trades so far this season. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we have Nigerians also in that list. Josh Okoji talking about Phoenix Suns for $2.3 million. Chimeze Metu of Sacramento Kings to Phoenix Suns of $2.5 million. Of course, you mentioned Kyle Kuzma, who, this is big too, 25.5 million. Chris Middleton of Milwaukee Bucks also staying with the club for 3 years for 102 million quid. And Draymond Green, initially, people thought he was going to leave the Golden State Warriors, but he's staying with the team. And of course, for an extension, 25 million for 4 years, and that extension could be as much as $100 million. That's what Draymond Green will be earning with the Golden State Warriors. Cameron Jackson, they mentioned Brooklyn Nets, that's 27. Of course, Kyrie Irving, he's staying with the Dallas Mavericks for another year, but he's a former teammate from Brooklyn. Talking about the guy who loves to move around, James Harden. We don't know if he's going to be staying with the 76ers because there's so much stories going on with him right now. But for Kyrie Irving, of course, he will be staying with Luka Doncic for this season. So for the Dallas Mavericks, they will still be enjoying him. Fred VanVleet, as he mentioned, this guy was undrafted, and now this is what he's earning. He talked about 42.9 million quid. Of course, he's leaving Toronto Raptors from Canada, coming to the Houston Rockets, who had, for the past 3 seasons, Houston Rockets season have been, nothing but woeful. Jeremy Grant, of course, Portland Trailblazers, 35. He's staying with the team for 35 million, of course, extension for 5 years, which could be as much as 160 million. There you have the NBA trades so far, the amount that we talked about earlier with Draymond Green. He's staying with the Golden State Warriors. I believe most of the Warriors nation would definitely be happy about this. Some people will even say when he's done with it, he should just stay with the coaching crew. That's the influence he cannot have with the Golden State Warriors. Quickly, answer, what do you think about this before we go to Queen when she's ready to join us?
Well, actually, for Draymond Green, though, I know quite a lot of talk. Maybe he might leave or just, but the impact he's had on that team alongside Steph Curry. One of the players actually stayed.
Yeah.
People are saying, yeah, this is a reward for him remaining at the club. And 25 million for his, I think it's about 36, 37, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
25 million for the next 4 years. I don't know why my name is not on that list.
Okay. Who are you?
Don't try me.
Who are you?
I'm that good.
It's more of a wasted height. He had the height,
Come on.
And he went to a school where sport is taken very seriously, but he never took himself seriously. And I think that is why we are where we are. But again, Sisi, these things are more, because again, the Rwandans, they've taken the initiative in Africa when it comes to basketball. Yes. And this is something in Thai past used to be, even the energy, the drive, basketball is a sport that is very popular in Nigeria. And I think we lost a couple of years to administrative malfeasance. And I think which led us to all those, when people struggle to qualify to tournament, and all of a sudden we yank them out on the altar of indiscipline. I wonder where that word is coming from. So going through this list, having again, basketball, it's not like football here where you sign players just short-term contract 1 year. Basketball, they look at minimum of like 3 years, and that's why you see all the figures we're projecting were running to hundreds of millions in dollars. And I think Ken was so hysterical about $30,000 players will be getting for football. We are talking about people getting $104 million. And I think with the national sport policy, I think it's high time now we start looking page by page into that and start the execution of the policy.
Yeah, that's what is important. I mean, I don't know if Queen is ready to join us. And of course, the band that we, had a little bit, we thought it was going to help, in the growth of basketball. Focus here. See how you can grow it from here. But right now, we're going to be having a tryout for national team. I mean, the Afro Basket is starting, at the end of this month. And of course, between July 28th and August, that's when it's starting. But we're going to be having a camp in Lagos, Abuja, and of course in Chicago. That in Lagos will be between 8th and 9th, and then July 10th and 11th in Lagos and Abuja. The one for Chicago is on 8th to 9th. So the coach, of course, Rena Wakamo, has just been appointed with there to select players. Of course, here, I believe they will have other people also picking players from here into the D-Tigers. So it simply means right now you can't say we have a national team. Maybe the former players may want to go there, but how many players who've been playing for the national team really want to have a tryout? But it's open. So if you're good in basketball, no matter where you're coming from, you've got the opportunity to play for the D-Tigers this time around. So NBBF is trading it open for everyone to come in, try your luck and see if you're good enough to become part of the national team. Because we mentioned the discipline of the team, because according to the former sports minister, those were some of the things that led to it, both on the part of the players and also on the part of the administrators, people not coming together to actually have the welfare of the country, the welfare of the players. What they wanted was that diplomatic understanding where you have the administrators and also the players, they are in tune, and you don't have to go over there and disgrace the country and court. Well, that didn't happen because they didn't go to the World Cup. And then after, we're still struggling to start the elite basketball team. The qualifiers are over. So we're waiting, according to reports that I heard from, is the fact that the teams wanted to have like 1 month to prepare for the elite basketball to start. So we're waiting for when that will start. Of course, we're still waiting for when the men's league will start. That's the leagues in Nigeria. But the national team are busy. They are in action. For the local players, right here, the D-Tigers, they are currently in Côte d'Ivoire for the African qualifiers. That's a basketball tournament that is meant for players that are based in Africa. So Nigeria, after losing their opening game, because they had to travel on Thursday, they had a game to play on Friday. They lost the opening game to Guinea just by 6-5, by 3 points, 65-62. But the second day, on Saturday, they were able to bounce back from that loss to beat Benin Republic. And of course, they had a good result in that. But later tonight, by about 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Nigerian time, they will be playing against Côte d'Ivoire. And of course, you know, the winner of this particular group will join the other in Group A, which is Gabon and Kenya in Group A, at the FIBA African, which will tip up later this week in Angola. Now, this particular Afro-CAN is a new tournament. It started in 2019 in Mali and, of course, Democratic Republic of Congo, where they won it. So it happens every 4 years. So the teams that have qualified for that second editions were those who took part in Democratic Republic of Congo, of course, Mali, Kenya were finalists, Morocco, Angola finished third, Morocco fourth place. So those teams qualified automatically. So the other teams will have to play qualifiers to join them. That's why we are having this qualifiers. Of course, the Tigers, those based at home, are taking part in that tournament. Queen, I don't know if you're back. If you can tell us more about this before we let you go, and just quickly take care of Uriel, she's really kind of hyper this afternoon.
We threw one full bottle of water in my kitchen. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a weekend, so.
Trainer, for people who don't have an idea about when Narumakama, she actually played for First Bank at the 2015 FIBA Champions Cup for women in 2015. So she was on that team in Angola, and the team that finished fourth in that particular championship. FIBA Champions Cup is like the continental championship for women in Africa. So she took part in that one, and she played under Peter Amedu at that point in time. So that's just a bit about her. So, but our coaching technicalities will be put to test when she gets to play in the Afro basket. And she's very young, 31 years of age. So, and that's a bit of a concern too for the older players on the team, if they'll be able to attend to her instruction and all of that. But I think her charisma would determine a whole lot. Yes, she's 31. She'll be facing some older players like Adora. I think Adora is like a year or 2 years older than her. That's the captain of the D Tigers. Then maybe the likes of Mezine might be close to her age as well. So, but I think all of this, it's all on her right now. It stops at her to see how she's going to manage all of this. But it's an open camp now. So, but the question is, why an opening camp? Why an open camp at this point in time with 26 days to the Afrobasket, defending champions who have done a 3-peat and about to do a 4. The only team in Africa that has done a 4, would I call it a 4-peat, is Senegal. And they've done it 4 in a row. No other country in Africa has ever done it. So we are about to do that. And all of these challenges, the behind the scenes challenges, because the MBBF as well, there've been a lot of infighting on the board as well. So I think that alone has not really helped matters. Not just about MBBF having factions. Now it is now an internal fight, which has not really helped matters. But now we have a coach, because the question at first was, are we going to have Otis back? But the issue of not paying him his allowances and bonuses of last year of the qualifiers and the pre-Olympic qualifiers, he refused coming back. But now we have a coach. We should get to work, not having an open camp. But now we've had an open camp. I think the MBBF are in best position to release a statement or to explain this side of their story, why they've come up with this, because the time is really short. We take our mind back to 2018 when we just had almost 2 weeks or 3 weeks to the World Cup. And we just came up, Otis coming up, just came up with few players he had to work with, few players that had been on ground, and added few additional players. So by this time we're having an open camp, I would expect the girls to still go there. Okay. I expect that the MBBF had already put down some names. So definitely they'll be following up with the progress of all of our players. I believe they would have put down some players that they should be able to represent Nigeria this time around. But I think they're just giving options to the new coach to have an availability of other players she might want to use. You know, our philosophy and the philosophy of Otis will be different. They might not be similar. So maybe this is an avenue to give more options for the Afrobasket.
Okay. All right, let's quickly go to Ken before he will drop his pen. He's not staying to the end of the show today.
Yeah, thank you, Sisi. As I go, I don't want to talk about one or few things. I think for lovers of badminton, something is happening on the 4th and the 5th of July at the Kwara Indoor Sports Hall. That is for kids. It's a school sports thing. So go over there to go and enjoy badminton. But for Wimbledon, the kicking off tomorrow. Just two things, two persons. Djokovic going in for number 8. I mean, that will equal Federer, the most successful male athlete to win Wimbledon. So he already has the 10 over there at Australia. So, and for Venus Williams, I don't know. She's been Elena Vizolina tomorrow. She won this title the first time in 2000. And the world number 1, Iga Swiatek, was born a year after. So Iga Swiatek was not even when Venus won her first Wimbledon. But she is here 43, playing 23 years after. Well, just wish them luck. Here, I dropped the pen. Have a blessed Sunday, guys.
All right, let's quickly go to Queen so that we can let her go to take care of Uriel. Queen, just a quick one on the African taking place in Cote d'Ivoire. Now, the D Tigers will be up against Cote d'Ivoire. They lost their first game, won the second against Benin Republic, but their last game will be today to see if they can qualify to join the likes of Kenya in Group A.
It's going to be a tough one. Before now, when I saw the draw or when I saw that the teams were playing, I actually tipped them to beat Guinea and Benin Republic. Those were the two games I said, okay, they were going to win. And I was expecting a tougher game from Cote d'Ivoire. And then they're even the hosts as well. So you should expect a whole lot. Even though we had beaten them in the World Cup qualifiers, I think what played out in at that time was that they had qualified for the World Cup already. Not all their players made the team, so you should expect them to take their feet, or will I say their hands, off the pedal and all of that. But with the driving force as well as the hunger of the boys, they went ahead and they won that game. They also beat Guinea as well in that World Cup qualifiers in February. So, but I think the lack of preparation for the boys, because it was just a day, they just realized that they were going for the AfroChan qualifiers. They just called them all together. They went to the airport and they arrived at Abidjan. So, which was not quite a good one, not a good one as well, because we can't keep recycling the same pattern where we don't prepare for a competition and want to do and we expect to do well. It's not rocket science. We need to prepare. Other people are preparing. So, but I think what works for Nigeria is that we have talent and we're always depending on talent. But talent sometimes are really not enough. So, but against Cote d'Ivoire is going to be a tough one, and it is a game they must win. But it's going to be a tough one for them. But they have to win it, because at the end of the day, it's the winner that will qualify. So, but aside that, they still have a chance. But I think there might be a lot of behind the scenes politicking and all that, because there's a wild card. There's an avenue for a wild card for the AfroChan. So if they cannot go through this route, they will have to wish that they get the wild card. But we can't keep counting on all this automatic sport to competition, just like we count on automatic sport to the BAL, and we end up going there. We are not doing well or making good representation of the automatic sport. So, but today's game is going to be a tough one, but I believe the boys can do it. That hunger is there. The only thing counted against them is because they didn't have enough time to prepare together. But collectively, they are all talented players. But not having the league for how many months now, boys are just training individually, 3 aside, pick up games and all that. Now they have to play together collectively. Right. Good enough, the likes of Ibeagu and Victor Ezia are stepping up to the plate, Coco and the rest of them. So, but we want to expect that the Okorodude, interestingly, is coach of my team, Reverse Reverse. I'm just hoping he does well. I'm wishing him to do well, because I'm always hoping that he goes ahead and do great things. So, but I'm hoping that they get a win, but it's going to be a tough one for them.
Yeah, a tough one for the players at AfroChan. Queen, thank you so much for taking our time to talk to us this afternoon on Sunday.
Thank you so much for having me. Apologies for my daughter, sorry.
We understand that. We have fathers in the building right here. Jimmy Ogulano has joined us, Ogulano making wave. for him. It's great to have you.
Ever a pleasure to be here. And I think what stands out the most for me is the fact that she talked about the National Open trials. I think it's an aberration. If you were a club, I think I would understand. If you were an academy, I will understand. But for the national team having open trials, it's just an indictment on the federation. What are they been doing domestically that did not have to? Absolutely nothing. So they now have to rely on open tryouts. You can't imagine, you know, the American team now tell you they want to have an open tryout. It's not. I don't have to go too far.
Yeah, that's too far.
Even in football, there are certain things that you tend to hear and you be like, no, you don't have to do that because there are enough teams already that you can pick on. So we are now left with options. National open tryouts.
Yeah,
for the national team.
For a team that have won the championship three times in a row.
Yeah, I think it's just part of our psyche. It's part of our psyche. And I think the first time I got this kind of open trial at the world was 84 when
that's 1984.
Yes, when Colonel Oladapo, Lieutenant Colonel then Oladapo Kukola disbanded ICC stars and then became all commerce affair. It happened again when Ken made mention about 2002 after the Nations Cup. A team going to the World Cup, Olympics champion, going to the World Cup, having open trial, and I think it's just part of us. Though it should not be a character, but it's part of us.
Well, what do you think? I get what Queen mentioned when she talked about the fact that the coach will not understand the style, so he needed more players. Look at all of them and pick the best because we just have 26 days to go.
Why do you have the technical directorate?
Okay, I'm even more concerned about the fact that she's someone that had been more on the administrative. She was director of operations also. Now moving into assistant coaching and now becoming full-time national coach of the national team. You know, I like the honesty of Queen because I saw on social media she was even struggling with information. She broke the news, but she was struggling. She had to be honest. I know too little about her. Yeah. That's exactly where we are, where we appoint a national team coach.
Same with Otis. When he came in. Well, let's just give
but there was some kind of antecedent. Yeah, you know, we may not hear too much.
I think a former national team player. Let's see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes. We're wishing her all the best with the team. Hopefully, we're not putting pressure on her to go ahead and do the 4 peats, but then she can get the D-Tigress running again. Let's have disciplined players, and then we'll be able to, you know, they will become our pride once again. They are always our pride because we love our national teams. Okay, tennis. Wimbledon is starting on Monday. Djokovic is gunning for, 4 times. We'll be going for. Okay, he has won 4 straight already. I'm talking about consecutively now. He has not been beaten at All England club since 2017.
Because it's usually very tough transitioning from clay to grass. Yeah, so that's why you have to respect Nadal at times.
So that's why it's good to play for the build-up.
Yeah, but John Bond did it about like 5 consecutive times, was juggling both. And I think, but again, you know, the pressure with Wimbledon is this. Out of the first slam, that is the only slam that gives you that visibility.
Okay.
Yeah. If not for Nadal, nobody will talk about the French Open.
Exactly.
So you can win like 3 slams. You can get the US, Australian, French Open, and nobody knows about you. But just get one
classic. He's a classic event.
That's why Andy Murray is
exactly, and it's also there.
So that comes with that additional pressure for these players.
Okay.
And I think that is just it.
Pressure. I know there's a particular player that is actually not under pressure. I'm talking about Novak Djokovic because for him, he says he's ready for more success. He's going for 24th at Wimbledon.
Because at the end of the day, it's trying to equal Margaret Court 24.
Yeah.
And right now, you will try to torpedo Serena Williams in terms of the open era. And it just tells a lot about the kind of monstrous mentality he's got.
Yeah.
You know, he's a very tough player. And, you know, coming from the days of his being a joker, being a clown on the court, becoming one of the most serious athletes, one of the most... Tennis is a very hard game, really, because it's very exasperating, the energy.
It has to be the most punishing non-contact sport.
Okay.
Tennis has to be the most punishing non-contact sport.
It has to be. Yeah. You're all by yourself.
But you know, when he said, what he said just now, he's going for 24th. Like he's relaxed about it.
Yes.
Is it because you don't have the usual top stars? Because it's like the youngsters right now can't even dream of winning Wimbledon from hearing from Djokovic, the confidence level.
The difference between Djokovic and Serena Williams is about their mentality.
Okay.
Serena got stuck when she wanted to just...
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you were part of those people.
No, I knew, but there are some like Novak. If it comes, fine. If it does, so he goes there without any pressure on himself. One thing, the beauty about Novak, it does not put himself under pressure. Never.
At all.
Because eyes are usually not so much on him compared to Serena Williams. When Serena Williams is playing, even if he got, she never played any. Most times she doesn't play build up. You know, she's trying to stay. She's just coming back from injury. People just want her to win. You see Beyonce, the likes of Princess Kate, everyone watching her live. Drake, I mean, who sees stars buying tickets to go watch Serena Williams? I don't think maybe the pressure's from her. Maybe it's those people who want to see, because she's, you know, when you set a kind of a standard for yourself, so they feel anywhere you go to, you have to be the champion.
I think Nick said something, and when he was trying to dimension the big four, he said people love Federer, but Novak, people don't even care about him, but he wants that attention. So
he always goes for it.
Yeah, so that pressure is not on him. When he now gets the result, it becomes a bonus. And I think that has been working.
He's always working in his advantage.
Now I get, because I've been trying to
converting adversity to prosperity.
How come he's feel relaxed? He just have this confidence.
You know, there was a
when
time
you're playing against him.
There was a time he actually engaged PPI Max, all the spiritual, whatever, because he was really struggling with his health, struggling with his mentality. But ever since then, he's come stronger and he's not gone back.
He's a vegetarian, so you know what that means.
Not
much meat. We don't have time to take a Medvedev, but that's another player who wants to actually change his fortune. But we have to leave tennis here, because before we go, we have to pay tribute to a particular boxer. I mean, in 1984, I believe most people actually remember what he did at the Olympics, Los Angeles in 1984, when he got the quarterfinals in the boxing event. You're talking about Jerry Okorodude, who died at the age of 64 on Wednesday night in Lagos.
Very sad.
How much do you know about this man?
Very sad.
Oh, he gave us our childhood. 84, for me, that was the prime Olympics, because it was an Olympic. I think maybe the schools were even on, I can't remember, but I knew we had NTA, they came up in the morning, you had all the time.
The likes of
we had good boxers, Joe Orewa, himself, Peter Konyewachi, who went ahead to win the silver medal, and then a host of other, Ayoma Bassi, the weightlifter, Oliver Orok, then Ebunika and the rest on the track. So it was drop-free, no scandal in 84. So and again with him with the Jerry Coy, so he was very pop. He was in fact the most of the popular of them, despite the fact that it was Peter that got the medal. So may the good Lord console his family.
10 years ago exactly, he was here, May 2013. He was here complaining about unpaid wages. Unfair sack and all of that. You know, he's been struggling with his health. It's so sad that the welfare of our, ex-internationals, we're still struggling with it. We can only hope this particular occasion, we use it to, change things around and make sure our sporting stars are better and fairly treated.
Yeah, fairly treated. That's the message. Special thanks to Family United the Sport, Forbes, who paid the outstanding medical bills for his corpse to be released to the family. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Mwangbe. Have a great day.